are, if you look at the spinal cord, you have a set of cell bodies found on this part of the spinal cord. This is called, what do you call this set of cell bodies? Lateral horn. What's the other name? Intermedio lateral cell column. Intermedio lateral cell column, because it's intermediate. Okay? This is ventral, this is dorsal, this is intermediate. So intermediate lateral cell column or lateral horn. So these cells, okay, these neurons have their axons passing this way and coming out from your ventral horn, ventral root, and then coming out as your nerve, spinal nerve right here. So these are found only between T1 to L2. Okay. So T1 to T4, this intermediate lateral cell column, these neurons supply from T1 to T4, supply primarily what? Everything above the diaphragm. Above the diaphragm. So what does that mean? Your heart, your lungs, your GI, including your head. Sympathetic fibers or sympathetics to the brain and the neck come from the cells, from those neurons in this area, and they find a way to go into the head. Because these are only T1 to L2 are the only ones. Cervical don't really have any sympathetic neurons, or lateral horn, or intermediate lateral cell column. Okay? So T1 to T4 are primarily towards above the diaphragm. We're concerned below the diaphragm. So we're concerned with from T5 to L2. Okay? We're talking about sympathetics. T5 to T9, they join together to form one nerve. Okay? T10 and T11 again form one nerve. And T12 form one, and then you have L1 and L2. Okay. So let me So this is your spinal cord. So this is your cell body. So here's your process running in your ventral root. They form a nerve. This is your dorsal root. Here's your anterior horn. Anterior, what's this? Anterior ramus, and this is the dorsal ramus. Follow this so far? Anterior ramus and dorsal ramus. So if you have a cell body, a neuron around T5, it's going to travel with your ventral root, enter your spinal nerve, enter your ventral root or ventral rami or anterior ramus, and then the nerve itself comes out and joins your sympathetic ganglion. Okay? Does it synapse in there? No. It just passes through. Okay? Because those cell bodies, those neurons right in here, they're primarily for neurons, sympathetic fibers that synapse and enter your gray ramus and go to the skin. Okay? But the ones going to your GI, to your abdomen, are just passing through. Where do they synapse? In those ganglia near your aorta, your celiac ganglion, your superior mesenteric ganglion, your inferior mesenteric ganglion. So these are called prevertebral. the sympathetic ganglion in here is called paravertebral because it's beside the vertebral column. So when you say paravertebral ganglia, you're referring to sympathetic ganglia associated with sympathetic chain. Prevertebral refer to those ganglia around your large arteries to the GI, your celiac ganglia, your superior mesenteric ganglia, your inferior mesenteric ganglia. So they would synapse into those cell bodies in there. They synapse, okay, into those neurons in your, let's say, cilia. And from there, they would go into the GI, let's say stomach. Okay, in the stomach, where are your nerve fibers? They form a plexus of nerves in the GI. What do you call them? Enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system is actually considered almost as big as your autonomic fibers. They almost act independently, which is going to be discussed in physiology. But they are found in two layers, primarily. One is the myenteric plexus of our back, and the other one is in the submucosal plexus. Submucosa and in between the muscles. There are what's a plexus of nerves? A plexus of nerves is just nerves passing through and forming these things in there. Doesn't refer, it's just nerve fibers. And it's just like when you dissect your hepatic artery, you see these nerves. Those are plexuses. They're just plexus. It's just nerve fibers running. Okay? Doesn't mean there's a cell body in there. There can be cell bodies, there may not be cell bodies. But just plexus are just nerve fibers that are in large amounts in a certain area. So there are nerve plexuses around the celiac trunk. So you have a celiac plexus. You have nerve plexuses around your superior mesenteric artery. You have superior mesenteric plexus. Okay? But you also have ganglia in those, which are cell bodies. Follow so far? Okay. So, what does this mean? So this cell is going to enter and supply the muscle. And when it's traveling in the wall of the intestine, it is part of the plexus, your enteric nerve plexus. Okay? Now, in addition, there are other nerves in there which are part of your enteric nervous system. But those sympathetic fibers are going to supply directly your muscles. So what do? They act to control. Just like your heart, you have your pacemaker. You have all this conduction system. In your GI, in your intestines, you have the enteric nervous system functioning like your conduction system. And this conduction system is regulated by your autonomics. So the heart, your SA node, are regulated by your sympathetics and your parasympathetics. Same thing here. Your autonomic nervous system can be regulated directly by the sympathetics, or these sympathetic fibers can act directly on the muscles. It's very unclear right now. But what am I telling you here? That one cell in the intermediolateral cell column, this is one cell in here, it's a multipolar neuron. It has a cell, it has a process, it has an axon that is traveling all this way, going this way. Oh, sorry, synapse in here. Then you have another cell in here, so this is a second cell that it synapses to. So it has two neurons, it's a two-neuron pathway. You have a preganglionic or presynaptic fiber, preganglionic or presynaptic sympathetic fiber, and you have a postganglionic, postsynaptic sympathetic fiber. And so the fiber refers to the axons, right? And you can just say, okay, if you have a lot of neurons, now you have nerves, okay? Now, what do you call this nerve that you're seeing coming out of your paravertebral ganglion, right in here? That is going towards your celiac ganglion. If it's coming from